네, 간단한 자기소개 해주세요.
이집트에서 온 이주민방송 사진 기자 무사입니다. 28살입니다.
네, 반갑습니다.
반갑습니다.
그러면 언제 한국에 들어가고 왜 들어왔는지에 대해 궁금합니다.
I came to Korea in 2016 and I didn't choose Korea exactly, but I just want to find safe destination. So Korea was my safe destination at that time.
그러면 한국에서 난민이 되었을 때 마음은 어땠나요?
When I just arrived to Korea, I didn't know too much information about the refugee situation in Korea. But as it's a developed country and have a Korean law, so I thought it will be a good thing and it doesn't have a lot of problem. What I found and what I faced, it's different from what I expected.
인정을 받는 부분에서 어떤 일을 당하셨는지 질문을 드리고 싶어요.
Yeah. Okay, I faced a lot of difficulties during this process from 2016 until I got my refugee status. First, and during this period at the beginning, I faced some difficulties with Ministry of Justice and Refugee Office. They make a very short interview and they didn't accept to receive any evidence about my activities as I applied as a political activist and human rights activist, so they rejected to receive any documents and evidence about my situation, and the interview was short, less than 1 hour, and they didn't allow me to speak freely about my situation. And later, and after I got rejected in 2016, we found out that the whole interview script was fabricated.
난민 인정 절차를 하는 사람, 인터뷰를 하고 받은 사람이
Yes, after the interview, you can get a copy from the interview script, but it's not easy also, because first when you go to ask, they ask you a lot of questions why you need this document and for what reason, and also it's all the script in Korean, so if you cannot speak or read Korean, so you will find it's difficult to find what's written in, so they don't have a copy in English or your main native language, Arabic or French or something. So you can get it, but it's hard to understand. So I got help from lawyers and translators to know what is inside the interview. So after this interview and after I got rejected, I spent more than 2 years during the process, and after I received my rejection result, I make an appeal. During the appeal, I wrote that what happened during the interview is not correct, and I have the right to have another interview. But they reject the appeal application itself, and later I went to the court, and we proved at the court that immigration changed and fabricated my interview. So after that, the immigration canceled their decision, and they said we will make interview again in 2018. So it's almost 2 years. So in 2018, I had interview for more than 9 hours interview, and after that I got my refugee status. So I lived almost 2 years in such difficult life, and I faced a lot of difficult situations. And because just a refugee office rejected my application at the beginning, and it was a mistake. So at that time my wife was pregnant, and we didn't have home or work or food or anything. And this is not just me or my family, but most of the refugee applicants have the same conditions of life, and like it's hard to find job, it's hard to find house. So, and the Ministry of Justice, they didn't care for this situation.
이렇게 무삽도 한국으로 난민을 신청해서 왔잖아요. 그럼 반대로 이집
네, 이집트에서 난민분들 많이 있어요. It's around 250,000 refugee in Egypt, and maybe their situation is not good enough, but it's the same situation and similar to Egyptian situation. There's no big difference. They have the ability to education and healthcare and support, but the problem is the level of this or the condition of this support is not good for Egyptian and refugees. It's the same. In fact, in Egypt we don't think on people as they are refugees or not refugees. For example, we just see them as, some of Egyptians see them just people, normal people, just like me. They are just people, human beings, and some of them they see that they are just foreigners in general, but we don't recognize them as refugees or not. And the people who speak same language, like Syrian and from Yemen or from Libya, we just think they are just brothers, so there's no difference between Egyptian or them. For example, Syrian refugees, they live normally in Egypt, and they started a business and work, and they are just living as like Egyptian people. And also about the government, they have a lot of support from some of the government and some from UNHCR, but they are in the education and health, and also getting the nationality, it's easy to get the nationality after you recognize as a refugee. Also, there's some difficulties for refugees in Egypt, like the visa, or they got arrested, and like the work permissions and human trade. So they are facing this kind of difficulties, but the problem is not because they are refugees, but just because the government and the police, they are not good for Egyptian or refugees. They arrest Egyptian and they kill and torture Egyptian, and also they do the same to refugees. So it's about the country itself, not about the refugees.
이제 마지막으로 하고 싶은 말이랑 인터뷰 소감 어떤지 말씀해 주세요.
Yeah, I am very excited about the interview, and especially there is a younger generation are interesting about refugees issue, and that's what I hope, and that I focus about, that I talk with younger generation, because what the feedback I received from the older generation is not good enough. So if the younger generation is interesting about human rights and refugees issues, so that means the situation here in Korea will change to better conditions. And so I just see people like me when I was in Egypt trying to change situation and talk about the situation. So thank you for doing that and keep going on this kind of activities.
자, 사진도 한번 찍어드릴게요. 자, 갑니다. VV. 하나, 둘, 셋. 한 번 더. 하나, 둘, 셋. 자. 굿.